Alright, so we're continuing progress on the Pokemon Go Grunt. Now, first up, I tried to hit up Adhd in order to find the right color and right make. I just really like Adhd wigs, so I did the best I could to try and find the closest match, but it looked like unfortunately the particular shade I wanted wasn't available in anything that didn't require a ridiculous amount of cutting. So I actually found this one on Amazon for an okay price and was pretty close. It's a little bit long, but we'll see how it looks. I might trim it a bit. And next I was looking for a pattern for the hat. Originally I was going to make it, hence looking for cheap versions of the hat to turn a pattern into. But then I found this one that looks exactly like what I need, so unless it's bad quality, I'm going to keep it. So I've got the wig in and I'm ironing it at 150, which is what my wig said it could handle, and I did a test patch at the back to make sure it works. And now you can see I'm doing each one. I actually do 2 lines of wefts at a time because I find doing more than that is just doesn't take the heat right, and also doing less than that takes way too long. And as you can see, a comparison of before and after, both on the headstand and on me, and with my hat on. So now I'm working on the boots. So I couldn't find a pair of shoes with that bright orange bottom, so I found this paint I'll put up here now, and found a lot of tutorials online said to use their primer and sealant, but I couldn't order that into Australia at this time due to the Backstreet Boys reunion tour. So I had to improvise based off information that I saw online, and I'm testing it on the bottom of one of the shoes so that I can test it and throw it in the washing machine and rub it on some towels to act as carpet and flooring to see if a particular sanding grade, acetone, or methylated spirits worked best at keeping the paint on, since I don't have the primer or the sealant available. As you can see, I'm giving it a wash because I do prefer to wash my costumes after each use, so if I can wash it, I will. So after the testing, I found methylated spirits and a fine grade sandpaper seemed to work best. So now I'm just cutting the line where I plan to have the grey start and the orange finish on the sole. Make sure you have a nice sharp blade so you can get a nice good clean cut. And as you can see, there's a cut deep enough to stick fabric into, but not deep enough to actually cut off the shoe. And I'm using masking tape, painter's tape, and actually pushing it into the crease so that I don't get any bleeding, and I'm pushing it in there either with my nail or the blunt end of my X-Acto Stanley knife, whatever you call them where you live. Unfortunately, this was just a long process of doing the little bits thanks to the curves of the shoe. I wasn't able to do it in one long strip like you can with some projects. And after I've mastered off, I painted it about 4 or 5 times with very thin layers of the paint. Essentially, I didn't want any streaks, and I also didn't want a high chance of bleeding in case the tape wasn't sealed completely. So you can see I'm priming it the best I can with the Australian version of everything. And once I've done those 4 or 5 layers to make sure there was no streaks and no see-through, I sealed it with this varnish that I got from Bunnings, which is a hardware store. I've actually used this on my Rouge the Bat shoes, so I do know that it stops it from spreading onto the fabric. However, there seems to still be a stickiness from the paint left over. I tested up a bit of the sealant on a part of the white part of the shoe, and the stickiness doesn't happen, so it is definitely the paint causing the stickiness.
So we all know what's going on. The Backstreet Boys reunion tour is affecting everyone, and even though the numbers have gone down thanks to isolation, the numbers are still there, and there's still people susceptible like me with chronic bronchitis. So I'm very much limiting my outside wandering. But essentially, you all know the gist. Supplies are limited, hard to get anything, and anything that is available is ridiculously overpriced. So I'm currently humming and hawing between buying a slightly wrong color fabric that's super expensive, or buying some cheap white one and seeing if I can dye it the right shade of grey. So if anyone actually has any good tutorials on how to dye something a very light grey, lycra / spandex very specifically, that would be very helpful actually, because most of the issue is I know lycra doesn't like heat, so I'm afraid to synthetically dye it in case I destroy the lycra. And also the whole waste of dye and everything, so I've got to do some trial and error with that. Not sure if I'll document it, just purely based on the fact that I don't know what I'm doing, so it's not really a tutorial. That being said, this whole thing isn't a tutorial anyway, it's a log, so yeah, I'll document it if I have time or I remember. I'll admit, trialing stuff, I just forget to document, and I'll go, oh, I should have recorded that. Anyway, Broken Girl cosplay, not sure how to YouTube, don't know what I'm doing with my hands. Haha, my glasses reflect stuff. Bye. This is who keeps me company. All for the Backstreet Boys reunion tour. Say hello. Oh, he's a good boy. Schnick is best craft buddy, because they don't climb all over your fabrics or your props. They just sit there and look cute. Oh, hello.